Australia, a harsh continent. To survive here takes versatility, cunning, and cooperation. Throughout a year in the life of a dingo pack, we witness their formidable hunting, and extraordinary adaptability, enduring ferocious competition, and the wrath of farmers. They have emerged as ecological saviours and earned their place in wild Australia. It's winter in southeastern Australia, pupping season for dingoes. The alpha male is extra vigilant. Normally in the company of her pack, this heavily pregnant alpha female strikes out on her own for a very private moment. By morning, she has produced a litter of 7 dingo pups. By constantly licking her newborns, they share signature scents. She also consumes their urine and feces, recycling valuable moisture and producing antibodies that are returned to the pups through her milk, strengthening their immune systems The pups are born blind, deaf, toothless, and unable to regulate their body temperature. During long winter nights, they depend on their mother and litter mates for warmth. The runt of the litter has rolled away. Mum quickly returns him to the warm huddle of his siblings, saving him from deadly hypothermia. Suckling 7 hungry pups is exhausting. But winter births mean spring's abundance awaits. For when the pups are weaned, they will be hungrier still. Now she needs to reacquaint herself with the pack. Within hours of their birth, the dingo mother has dispensed almost 2 cups of fat-rich milk to her pups. Now she needs to feed. And her mate senses her return to the fold. To raise her litter, she draws not only on her own strength, but the complex support network that defines dingo society. In the dingo world, it takes the whole village to raise the young. Sometimes the well-being of the alpha female's pups comes at the expense of another female's litter. Just days ago, the dominant female killed the newborn pups of a female lower down the pack hierarchy. While seemingly brutal, infanticide maintains the pack's social structure, which centers around the breeding alpha pair and their pups. Still lactating, the subordinate female is now the wet nurse to the dominant couple's pups, reducing energy demands on their biological mum and allowing the alpha couple time to rekindle their bond. While theories abound about how dingoes' ancestors arrived in Australia, the latest evidence suggests they were the companions of hunter-gatherers, people able to travel vast distances by island hopping. Seafarers proficient in using prevailing winds and ocean currents. It was long thought dingoes descended from wolves and the ancestors of today's domestic dogs, who lived among expanding agricultural communities. But dingoes lack the gene for digesting starch, which suggests they lived among hunter-gatherer people, not farmers. And DNA evidence has now confirmed they are, in fact, their own distinct species. Canis dingo. Once dingoes arrived on Australia's northern shores, they spread widely throughout the continent. From the snow-covered Alps and into the arid heart of Australia. Perhaps because of their intelligence and social nature, they were adopted by Indigenous Australians as cherished companions and hunting partners. The dingo's expansion across Australia's mainland coincided with the extinction of two marsupial carnivores. Until 1936, when the last individual died in a zoo, the thylacine or marsupial wolf persisted on Australia's southern island, Tasmania. Here too the Tasmanian devil endures, long after its extinction on the mainland. Until recently, the dingo took the rap for both species' mainland extinctions. But new research suggests that sudden climate change and the rapid increase in human populations were more likely causes. The dingo may be innocent or only partially responsible for the marsupial's decline. Spring is on its way, and the pack's pups are now 4 weeks old. Their eyes are open, and they're taking their first tentative steps. It's a world of unfamiliar scents and sounds. For some, it's an expansive latrine. And others a playground to be explored. The runt of the litter is ready to take on his new world. while others find it just that little bit daunting. Bigger, more active pups means the pack must hunt more. They're on rabbit relay, introducing pups to solid food. For some, the carcass is too much to get their teeth into, so the female assists by regurgitating the partly digested rabbit. It will be another month before the pups stop drinking milk entirely. In the meantime, the pack is run off its feet. An abundance of grass means rabbits are plentiful. The pups are cultivating their own hunting instincts. Instincts not attuned to the presence of danger. With its long-range binocular vision, a wedge-tailed eagle has spotted the rowdy litter. And makes a silent approach. But the eagle is spotted by the subordinate female. Her warning signal sends the pups scampering to the safety of their den just in time. Perhaps enough excitement for one day. Prey small and large are all on the menu when there's a family to feed. When British colonists arrived in Australia almost 250 years ago, they brought 44 sheep. By 1980, the national flock was 180 million. Farmers held dingoes responsible for killing their livestock. To this day, many still shoot, poison and try to banish dingoes from their farmlands. In 1885, the Australian government completed the Dingo fence. Stretching 5,614 kilometres, it is the longest fence in the world. It was originally built as a rabbit-proof fence to contain a plague of introduced rabbits. When the fence failed to stop the rabbits, its height was increased to keep the dingoes out of southern sheep farming regions. It worked, but there was also an unexpected outcome. On the northern side of the fence, dingoes keep the rabbit populations in check. Where dingoes are excluded, rabbit numbers swell, competing with livestock for grazing and causing erosion with their network of burrows. While the sheep populations suffer, the letter-wing kite thrives. The steady diet of rabbits has enabled this bird of prey to expand its range deep into the arid interior following the rabbit plagues. Australia has the worst mammal extinction rate in the world. 30 native mammals have become extinct since Europeans arrived, mostly due to the impact of species they introduced. Perhaps the worst offender is the feral cat. Their numbers run in the millions, and each cat can kill 10 prey animals per night. Where dingoes are present, the native animals have a better chance of survival. Not only do dingoes feed on the cats, they scare them into hiding. Cats only venture out after midnight when dingoes are less active, giving the native animals a chance to feed unharassed for a few night hours. Europeans also brought with them domestic dogs. In areas where the dogs and dingoes mixed, they interbred. Today, purebred dingoes are increasingly rare. And though they are physically similar, dingo-dog hybrids behave differently to purebred dingoes. Dingoes howl, but rarely bark. But the most important distinguishing trait of a pure dingo is its breeding cycle. While female dogs breed multiple times per year, dingoes restrict breeding to just once annually. With his pups thriving back at the den, the alpha male is on border patrol. A daily trek that takes him some 12 kilometers around the perimeter of his territory. Marking his presence as he goes. His scent warns off intruders. The pack's territory is bordered by a stream to the north, swamps and beaches to the east, but less ideally, farmlands to the south. The alpha male circuit brings him tantalizingly close, not only to livestock, but farm dogs. A young border collie is curious to meet a fellow canine. Interbreeding with domestic dogs is the greatest threat to dingo's genetic purity and continued existence. Male dingoes aren't usually ready to breed outside their autumn mating season, but even being in the proximity of female farm dogs on heat may increase their testosterone levels, leading to interspecies matings. Fortunately, this border collie is a young male who only seems interested in meeting a playmate. But not all dogs are so submissive. Packs of domestic dogs gone wild roam the Australian bush, harassing and killing wildlife in their path. Koalas are among the most vulnerable. Dingoes often get blamed for the carnage. With many more kilometres to cover, the alpha male signals his presence to neighbouring packs. Each howl is distinctive to the individual dingo, signalling its gender and status. The subordinate females reply. They're off hunting with the rest of the pack and have stashed the pups in the base of a tree by the river. But the howls have lured some of the more curious pups out of hiding. Some take it upon themselves to make their own border patrol. Before long, they are scattered. Some gone to upper reaches of the stream, and others venturing into the forest. Dingo pups are intelligent, but they would not survive long without the care of their pack. The subordinate female returns to an empty den. She calls out for the pups. Eventually, the pups respond. She starts rounding up her scattered troops to follow her back to safety. They not only recognize her call, but her scent. Shepherding the majority of the stragglers, she leads them back to the den. But the runt finds himself in a forest of tall grasses. The wind has masked the female's calls and her scent. Finally, the last of the wayward pups joins the litter. As the days lengthen, the pups are now 16 weeks old and asserting their personalities. While some are bold and fearless, others are easily distracted. An old bone proves irresistible to one pup. But the rest of the litter insists on sharing. Rough and tumble builds lifelong bonds. And subtle body and facial gestures start to establish a pecking order. While mum is still boss, the pups are now fully weaned and on their way to independence. Summer arrives in the Dingoes' forest home. It's breeding season for koalas. Last year's joeys have left their pouches. The wombats also have young. They suckle them in the safety of their burrows. Wombats have a specialised defence against dingo attack. They ram their reinforced rumps up against the burrow entrance when dingoes threaten. There is easier prey to be found. Kangaroos are plentiful, feeding on fresh pastures. With the pups gaining their independence, the pack gathers for a hunt. Despite being surrounded by cattle and sheep, dingoes prefer to feed on kangaroos. These marsupials make up almost half their diet. Rabbits and possums comprise 30%, and insects, lizards and birds provide the rest. The alpha male and female are stalking a mob of grey roos. They're careful to stay downwind, but the roos are wary. And all at once the mob takes flight. But the lead hunter has a plan. He's changing the roo's direction, forcing it into the path of other dingoes. In the tall grass, the kangaroo is unable to see the other dingoes approaching. The rest of the pack arrives to feast on the spoils. The pack is made up of related individuals, but even relatives need to be put in their place at mealtime. Dingoes have a language made up of postures and facial expressions. The alpha male asserts his full-threat dominance with bared teeth, ears pointed forward, and his tail held high above his back. The subordinate dingo wisely waits his turn to eat. These gestures are the glue that binds dingo society together. It's a social order that needs to be learnt. The pups rely on what the pack brings in. They wait their turn, keeping a respectful distance from dominant pack members. But they're not the only ones with an interest in the carcass. Finally, the adults have finished and the pups can move in. But so does the wedge-tailed eagle. The pup is forced to retreat until the eagle eats its fill. Other pups show initiative by embarking on their own mini-hunts. One goes it alone in pursuit of a native mouse. They will try their luck at almost any prey. Versatility and the ability to switch prey depending on what's available is key to the dingo's survival. Summer is in full swing. The pups are now 6 months old. It's time for them to graduate to pack hunting. Today, parents are teaching Rabbit Hunting 101. While their natural instinct is to be the aggressor, the pups must learn their place. Until they catch their own prey, they need to wait their turn. Patience is eventually rewarded. The pup wastes no time devouring the carcass, so as not to have his prize snatched by the eagle once again. Summer is almost over. The pups are adolescents. While some have remained with the pack to help raise the next litter, a few of the young males have struck out on their own. The river, which only months ago they explored so tentatively, is now their playground. Thanks to the robust health of the alpha female and the pack, the pups are strong, energetic, and ready to graduate to an independent life. The river leads them from the eucalypt woodlands down to the wetlands and onto the beach. The tide leaves a tasty range of flotsam for these beach boys to scavenge. And pungent carcasses to roll in. This extremity of their home range also introduces them to some unfamiliar prey. Black swans are feeding and courting, but yet to build nests and breed. The rowdy young dingoes can't resist a good chase. They're easily avoided. This goanna is on the search for bird eggs, fattening up before autumn sets in. Whilst an expert tree climber, he's caught off guard on the beach. The young dingoes are keen, but wary. These large lizards have sharp teeth and saliva laced with venom. A bite would likely become seriously infected. Just when the dingoes seem to have the goanna cornered, it makes a surprising escape. It's an expert swimmer, and the beach boys are left pondering their next move. The dingoes in this part of Australia have food choices aplenty, but it's not always so for their desert relatives. Sparsely populated, arid Australia supports some of the last of the continent's pure dingoes. Here, dingo packs rarely encounter domestic dogs. Reptiles, rabbits, and other small mammals make up the majority of the desert dingo's diet, with kangaroos also on the menu when the opportunity arises. In drought, kangaroos become thinly spread. Extreme temperatures and prolonged drought can see 60% of the roo population die off in a season. This large male wallaroo conserves moisture in the shade, staying close to the rapidly evaporating waterhole nearby. A waterhole that has become a lifeline for locals. Including this juvenile dingo. The formidable marsupial would be fair game for a pack of dingoes, but a solo attack is risky. Its powerful hind legs and sharp claws prove too intimidating for the hungry dingo. When drought sucks the life out of natural watercourses, dingoes are forced to find water where they can. Bore-fed dams on vast outback farms are often a last resort, not just for the dingoes. The desert dwellers are nervous and wary. Even those who have not yet quenched their thirst defer to the dingo. This mum has lost all but one of her pups to the drought. The pack gathers around a large carcass. But this starving outsider is unwelcome. Starvation has caused this dingo to become ravaged with mange. The alpha male asserts his dominance. But eventually, everyone eats. The extreme heat drives even water-efficient reptiles to the waterhole. The goanna's close cousin, the parenti, is capable of killing small kangaroos and dingo pups if they get the chance. Hunger drives this feisty teenager to consider the parenti as his next meal. And the parenti sizes up the young dingo. He calls for backup, but no one comes. Luckily for the young dingo, the parenti also withdraws. It's the dingo's ability to take advantage of any opportunity that makes them the great desert survivors that they are. But drought takes its toll on all desert inhabitants in Australia's arid interior. It's now mid-autumn, the height of the mating season for the forest pack. Tensions are running high. The alpha male and female are still top dogs, but the subordinate female that nursed last year's pups is asserting herself. The alpha male sees her off. But other subordinate females try to attract his attention. At first, he rejects the young female, but she is persistent. Eventually, the alpha male shows interest, much to the ire of the alpha female, who sticks close by with her tail raised. She's had enough and unleashes her fury on the upstart. The underdog gets off lightly. While defending her position has come at a price, the alpha female has reclaimed her mate's attentions. And she is already pregnant. She has proven herself to be a good mother and provider. And some of her sons from last season are returning. The Beach Boys make their way homeward, following the upper reaches of the stream into the forest. They have experienced much in their time away, but they are still young at heart. An echidna bearing a back of sharp-tipped spines boldly crosses their path. Experienced dingoes have a knack of flipping them over to get at the vulnerable fleshy part of this prickly customer. Try as they may, the teenagers just can't seem to find a way in. A butterfly becomes a sudden distraction. And an opportunity for the echidna to make a timely escape. Eventually, the entire pack is reunited. It's midwinter. The alpha female is now heavily pregnant and in search of a birthing den, while her partner stands guard. Even if she wanted to return to last year's hollow, it's already occupied by an echidna taking a winter nap. She settles on the base of a massive river gum. This season she has given birth to only 4 pups, perhaps a sign of her advancing years. But in her lifetime, she has already managed to raise 20 dingoes to adulthood. They are now part of her support team. The pack has maintained its numbers, keeping roos and rabbit populations in check, contributing to the productivity of their forest home. Left to their own devices, dingoes adapt to the ebb and flow of the seasons. They manage the social order of their packs and their population sizes. Once maligned and misunderstood, we can now look at this species with a fresh perspective. A species that plays an important role in maintaining the health of ecosystems across the Australian continent.